There's a lot of argument about what makes a good manager and the difference between a manager and a leader. One of the biggest challenges is in having an objective framework in which to assess yourself. So in this video, we will share some insights that staff look for and a few ideas that you can reflect on. Are you arrogant, petty and vindictive, or are you inspiring, effective and flexible? If you think you're a good manager, or would like to be, then keep watching and see how you stack up. Ahoy, Peter here from Brighter Training, and welcome to our video helping you to explore whether you are a good manager. You can use the timestamps in the description below if you need to come back and revisit any section of this video. And of course, if you find these videos useful, please remember, hit like and subscribe and share your comments with us. We mentioned this topic in a previous video and we had a lot of interest, so I'm going to jump in with a few different questions and concepts that you can reflect on or even just ask your team about. Now just remember, if you do seek feedback, then you need to receive it gracefully and in the spirit that it's intended. So first of all, do you self-reflect and seek feedback? First things first, why do you think you're good or bad? Come up with an objective list of measures. Because you achieve commercial results, that could just make you a good salesperson, not necessarily a good leader. Often people who are at the top of one heap get promoted to management, such as a top salesperson becoming a team manager. The fact is that while there is an overlap, success in one role really is zero indication of success in the other. So ask the question, be objective, and list what a good manager should do from different perspectives. So commercially, operationally, from the point of view of HR or staff engagement. And that leads us to, what evidence have you got? Now, having the title, how long you've had the title, what people say to your face, and your own opinion really aren't good enough sources of evidence to assess your skills, nor is how commercially successful your team is. So how do you define success as a manager? How does your boss define it? How does the HR department define it? Or your team? What proof do you have that you're actually meeting those requirements? So consider things like a 360-degree survey, skip level meetings, or external workshops, and read up on some emotional intelligence principles to examine whether you are actually self-aware and can regulate your behavior effectively. So the next question is, have you provided clear structure and clarity? So are the roles and responsibilities in your team crystal clear, from position descriptions through to operating procedures? Leadership is about giving clear instructions, but also creating a clear vision and a purpose. So if we asked your team, could they clearly explain their role, their purpose, and the overall vision for either the team or the organization? So next one, do you take the time to plan your staff development? So if you're in a sales or a business focused type organization, or you're a business manager, chances are that you have account plans or business plans, which will have details including SWOTs, goals, targets, tactics, KPIs. So my question is, do you have one for each and every member of your team? Generally, all the important aspects of business have plans, reports, and measures. So if you don't have one of these plans for each team member, then you're saying that they're really not important. And I will argue this point with anyone. Staff development is an investment in the long-term business success. Happy, skilled people are more motivated and they achieve more. And a great manager doesn't just allocate duties, they consider an individual's experiences, their needs, and their goals. So you need to commit to achieving that development plan. The next question to consider is, where do you get your power from? There are a few things under this heading. Firstly, there's a theory that says that we get our power from different sources, and that can then influence our leadership style. So we'll have a quick look, and as we go through each one, have a think of which one matches your style, or get someone else to answer it for you. So firstly, there's one called legitimate power, and that's where you think you have the title or the right to make demands and expect compliance simply because you're the boss. Then there's one called reward power, where you may think if you can compensate or reward someone, then you can get them to do things. It's almost the old carrot and the stick style of leadership. Now there's expert. If you're a leader in your field, therefore people come to you, that in itself is a form of power. And there's another one called referent. This is basically when people give you power because of genuine worthiness or sometimes even just attractiveness. There's coercive power, where you think you can punish people for not complying. And finally, there's something called informational power, where if you control the flow and the access to information and systems, then you can control the people. Now, are there good and bad power bases? Yes, there are. Are they context dependent? Sometimes. So the question is, where do you get your power? Why do you think it's right? And what effect does it have on your team? And remember, with great power comes great responsibility. Your role is to coordinate, support, and inspire, so you don't get to take the low road and be petty. If you've received feedback that you don't want to hear, a good manager will learn how to receive that feedback, reflect on it, and will work with the team member to either improve or to resolve their perception. Now, if you've had a complaint against you or have an unhappy team member, your role is to objectively seek to understand and find a solution. This is both the moral and legislative thing to do. If you get petty and personal, then get out of people management. So the next question to reflect on is, can you define and be flexible in your leadership style? So off the top of my head, I can name 10 leadership models: situational, transformational, adaptive, participative. We've got delegated, command and control, McGregor's X and Y model, authoritative, democratic, coercive, and there's more than that. So my point is, what style do you use? Where did you learn it? And how effective is it? So more importantly, which one's the best style to use if you've got new staff members? What about experienced staff members? What about for change management or conflict resolution or coaching? So a good manager can self-reflect, they can identify their style, and they can be skilled in changing that style to suit the situation. And just like anything, leadership and management is a skill that you need to learn. Therefore, you don't just get given a title and then go off and be a manager. Ideally, you should be learning what it is to be a manager and reading up on these different styles so that you've got those skills and that flexibility to adapt to different circumstances. Okay, some last questions for you to ponder. Now, do you take full credit for the success or do you share it with your team? If there's a problem, is it more important to you to find out who's to blame, or is it more important to fix it and stop it from reoccurring? Do you speak to other people in your team about their peers in any way that could be considered gossip, personal, or judgmental? And while you're listening to these questions, do you not know which of these options is the good option and which one's the bad one? If so, you could probably do with some coaching and some development. Many managers struggle to give up the individual contributor mantle, and as a result, they create conflict and division, and they don't focus on the people around them. Once you become a people manager, your responsibility is to your team and to their success. It's like having kids or a puppy, and having great intention or blatant denial is totally different to actually being good at your job. If you're still watching at this point, at least you're willing to reflect and ask the question, and that's the sign of a good manager. Sadly, the bad managers won't hear this part or probably never open the video in the first place, but hopefully this will give you some good points for reflection or discussion with your team, or maybe even share this video and these questions with those managers who chose not to watch. So for any other training needs on this or any other topic for you or your team, our contact details can be found in the description below. Otherwise, thanks so much for watching and have a great day.